I'm Samantha B. This is Marina S. We're running a presidential campaign for our AP Gov class. So I'm running as president, and then Marina is my vice president. So we're going to tell you a few different things about our political platforms today. We're going to touch on a few of the things that we're really proud of within our platforms, which just basically deals with different issues within our country today. So the first platform we want to talk about is education. So we're in support of the Common Core Standards, CCSS, Common Core State Standards, which is basically a new way of teaching where there's more integrated learning rather than direct instruction. But with that comes a reform of the entire education system. So we wanted to make sure the tests were pushed back a year. That way schools don't lose funding based on, a reform that we initiated, because it's going to take at least a year or two before teachers and students and parents can all be on the same page and it can be implemented correctly. So that's definitely something we want to do. We were in support of, but we want to make sure that we didn't, that schools weren't suffering because of the reform. So that was a really big part of our campaign. Also, the environment, specifically having to do with energy. We wanted to implement a diverse renewable energy plan. So we would basically utilize the resources in whatever area. So like here we could do solar power because the sun shines a lot, and then in the Midwest we would do wind power. And that doesn't necessarily have to be the sole energy provider, because it's unrealistic to think that we could just all of a sudden wean ourselves completely off of coal and oil, because that's just not plausible at the moment. But if we started to put more money into renewable resources, we could see a shift towards using a lot of different energy sources. So that would definitely be a good thing to do for the U.S. So that's another really big part. That way we're not at the mercy of like OPEC and other large foreign oil companies. We're a little more self-sufficient, and that would be good. So another point Marina is going to address.
Okay, and it is on drugs, and we are going to decriminalize all drugs in the United States, because Portugal has done it, and it has been the past 10 years, I think.
Yep.
Yes, and it has been working very well, and it has decreased. Yeah, I'm so sorry.
Decreased drug use in Portugal because of it. So what we do is we take the money that we usually spend arresting people and sending them to prison for possession of drugs, and we would start rehabilitation programs. And we can also tax, like we would try and legalize marijuana for medical use, so we can actually tax it coming over the border and make more revenue. We would essentially put all the drug dealers out of business, and then we wouldn't allow everyone to go free for all with the drugs. Like, we would obviously confiscate them, but we wouldn't be sending people to prison for like 20 years. We would send them into a rehabilitation program that we would use. We would fund that with what we already fund for arresting, like different criminal actions. So that was another big part of our platform. Also, we see a lot of infrastructure problems within the U.S. today, different bridges and different buildings that were built back in like the 60s or the 70s or possibly before that, but now they're not in the best condition they could be in. So we wanted to open up a branch of the military that would take like architecture students and different students, or even people who are unemployed who have skills in that area, and they'd be hired through the military, and that would take care of like all the infrastructure problems. That way we didn't cut defense spending, because we don't really think that would be a good idea, but we would basically be redistributing money within the military and defense sector. So those were a couple of our really big points within our platforms. So I hope, any questions?
What's your stance on, you're talking about getting off of foreign oil. Do you have a vision or a plan for stimulating growth in the energy sector in the American economy? Like, what would your focuses be? What types of alternative fuel endeavors can you envision getting involved with?
Well, we've seen a lot of growth within like battery powered cars and cars that are more efficient. But what we're seeing is that like the production of batteries for the battery powered cars, those destroy the environment just about as much as if you just ran a gas car. So we definitely wanted to see like funds within the energy sector, like the coal sector, already going more towards trying trying to make more efficient. You know what I mean? Because we have a lot of renewable resources, but right now solar power and wind power aren't really that efficient. So it seems like we hit a dead end. Whereas if we were able to subsidize it through the government more, we would see that we could utilize resources and make everything more efficient, and then it might actually be worthwhile to invest into. So that's what we kind of envision seeing, is that we wouldn't have just one energy resource, we would have multiple throughout the United States, whatever really fit well and works well for that area.
How do you envision the role of America's military globally? What is your vision for the American military? How should it be utilized? In other words, looking at, there was information that came out yesterday. The United States is expected to continue to have a ground force in Afghanistan for the next 10 years. Do you think that the United States should have a presence in Afghanistan for 10 years, or 20 years, or 50 years, or 100 years? What's your view on America's role as a military force globally?
I think that a lot of the times we go in places and we want to do good, but we don't necessarily, we aren't able to accomplish that. With Afghanistan in particular, I think that if we had never gone in, that would have been a good call. But now that we're there, I don't think that it's right of us to not finish what we started, in a way, because although I don't think that it was our place, we also have turned their entire country around. So it's not right for us just to back out and not continue to help them, or continue to at least finish what we started in the beginning. So that's how we feel about that.
If it takes 100 years to finish the job, then we should stick in there for 100 years?
Well, we'd have to reevaluate. Like, honestly, I'm not specifically sure I don't know exactly what's going on there right now. I'm going to be completely honest with you. But I know that we tried to reform their entire political system in their entire country so they didn't hate us and that there wasn't so much corruption there. I don't necessarily think that was our place, but at the same time, we're kind of in a demolition stage where, I mean, Afghanistan isn't really much better than when we went in, and that's partly our fault. I think we kind of have a responsibility to get them to a point where they can at least govern themselves.
What is your campaign's position on reproductive rights?
Women should have reproductive rights. I wouldn't. Specifically, what are you referring to? I guess, like.
What's your stance on abortion?
Abortion? Abortion should be legal. Pro-choice. I wouldn't tell anybody they couldn't get an abortion. I think that leads to a lot of illegal activity, potential dangers, and also I think a lot of the times it comes down to what you believe in, and I'm not going to suppress anybody's right to believe whatever they believe. So there are also situations where I think abortion is good, like when woman's life is in danger, stuff like that. So yeah, pro-choice, definitely.